So, ladies and gentlemen, one of the reasons why I wanted to have this elder statesman of the blues onto the radio
Oh,
station was to inform a lot of you about somebody you may not know about, but has a really great extensive history in blues music and rock, and he's going to be coming to Western New York this Sunday on August 30th to the Grandview Bay Golf Course, Lucy Goose Bar and Grill. There's going to be a blues bash in Angola, New York here. I've got Mr. Steve Arvey coming up from Florida. He's going to be bringing up Rebecca, his girlfriend, who also sings. He's also going to be bringing up C.J. Sturlace, who is a young guitar player that's also related to a very well-known local musician and band, Speedy Parker, Gary Sturlace. So between them and Dolly D and Jeremy Key's band, we've really got the blues. The alphabetically, we've got things covered from RV to Z on this particular show. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to WBLZ, Mr. Steve Arvey.
WBLZ FM, Rock the Blues.
FM, there's got to be some kind of an abbreviation that'll fit where it's not really frequency modulation, but we're actually beyond FM. We're streaming
Oh, yeah.
worldwide at WBLZ.org, and
Sorry.
also got a really healthy online presence. And you're also a notable YouTuber. You've got what, 14 or 15,000 subscribers over there, or is it 17 now?
17,000.
Yeah, that's great,
So
man.
it's been okay. YouTube is really big in Europe. The nice thing about in Europe, you've got YouTube on the remote control. So that's how I get a lot of my work in Europe. And it's good for people to see, all the different styles of music. And I'm working on some new songs. I definitely have to start putting out some new, new things, as you know. So yeah, but YouTube is good. I'm
Yeah.
digging it.
Well, you're very active there and on social media, and you're a world traveler. You've been a performer in Australia at the Byron Bay Blues Festival. You were signed to Warner Brothers and on a compilation there with like Dave Matthews and REM and all these other bands. But let's go back to the beginning. You were actually born in Chicago. You've got a lot of blues history there, playing with like Hubert Sumlin and Junior Wells. You told me a story when we were touring in Columbia together that you've been to Muddy Waters' house, played guitar for
Yeah.
Screamin' Jay Hawkins. I mean, I put a spell on you. Are you kidding me? And then you moved to Cuba at some point. So tell me about Chicago and that whole experience.
Well, yeah, you can see, or actually, there was no video of me and Screaming Jay Hawkins, but there was an audio tape of our show, May 11th, 1986, in Columbus, Ohio, at a place called Stashes. I went on the road with him, and I'm still releasing more stuff. You can go to my YouTube channel. There's a thing called Chicago Blues Archives, and I've got a lot of that stuff on there. Where
Oh, so you've got a playlist of all that stuff people can go watch.
well, yeah, I've got bootleg tapes. As a matter of fact, Ed, I just talked to Ed yesterday. He's got I need to release more. I still got a lot of stuff to clean up. And
You're talking about Ed Kirk, who's the president of the
yeah,
Southwest Blues Society.
right. So Ed's you helping me redigitize a lot of these recordings because pretty cool. I played bass. Yeah, so I grew up in Chicago. Got hooked to the blues down on Maxwell Street, seeing a lot of the old blues guys playing in the street, and just there's just something so cool about the music. I grew up like most kids in the Chicago suburbs, where I liked Alan Lee and John Winter and Zeppelin and all these great blues guys, and all of a sudden, these names kept, I could have quit Otis Rush, and all these names, Foghat, Make Love to, and Willie Dixon's name is on there, and I'm like, well, who? And I find out that these guys are all in Chicago still, a lot of them. So
Right.
I
Oh,
started,
yeah.
and yeah, there's actually a tape of Otis Rush and I playing. That's pretty interesting on that Chicago Blues Archives. And it's just there's all
There's
sorts of
always
people.
these new nuggets that I come to learn about you. I had no idea you played with Otis Rush. How incredible!
Well, what's even more incredible is that Otis Rush and I lived in the same building on 3950. Uh, Dave Spector lived at 3550. I lived at 3950. Otis lived on the same elevator shaft as me. I was on the 23rd. He was on the 17th floor.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, I got a chance to. My fondest memories of Otis is not playing. It was, we'd walk out on Lake Shore. There was a little park there, golf course, and then we'd take walks around the golf course and just tell me stories about stuff. Unfortunately, Otis was bipolar, so sometimes Otis would be like friendliest guy in the elevator. Sometimes he didn't even know who we were. And like when he was friendly, I couldn't get rid of him. I'm like, well, Otis, I got to walk the dog, and he's, I'll go with you. And just like, he'd stop at the. I remember I had a cheesecake addiction, and every morning I'd have like, the first this is in my early 20s, so I could digest the cheese. I get cheesecake and coffee. Anyway, I go anyway. There's a lot. Actually, I'm glad we brought this because I'm writing a book, and I completely forgot about walking with Otis.
So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, I've got the great Steve Arvey, who's based out of Florida now, Bradenton area, and one of his big associations now is with the cigar box movement. And I want to let you know that I brought Steve with me on my second tour down in Colombia, South America, part of a cultural ambassador type mission where. Well, not only did Steve play bass in my band, but he also played solo and opened the shows. And he taught the Colombians about cigar box, playing the blues, and how to build them. And that was quite an incredible experience. And
Yeah, yeah, that was, and that stuff's on my YouTube channel too. I've got, I recorded. We were in Pereira. That's a whole session there. Bogota, and I think Armenia. There's three of them recording. Where I actually now have a way to see play or how to build cigar box guitars. In Spanish too, because we had a translator. So then there's
I got to tell you, when we hit that first show in Bogota, I believe it was, you were opening. Obviously we had done our sound checks and stuff, and it was a packed to capacity theater, and there was a stillness, and they were waiting for the music. And when you came on and you started playing, I was like, it was beautiful and mesmerizing because you brought that real deal spirit of the blues, and you brought it to them, and their response and just how it made me feel. I was just so proud to have brought you and for you, because it was a special moment. I was like, yeah, it really affirmed, everything that had happened and how it had happened on that tour.
Well, one thing that I built is, like your brand is, good stinging Strat. You built your own brand. I've the way I've got my cigar box guitars tuned and my special strings, and then of course the scale being diatonic, slapping a capo on it gives me a completely different sound. I'm not a great singer. I'm not a great guitar player, but with that cigar box thing, I've got my own brand. It's almost like, Elmore James had that slide, Robert Knight. I'm not trying to compare myself to those guys. They were legends, but they had their own sound. So, I was at the Castellano Blues Fest this year, and there's a guy kind of put me down 4 years ago, and, saying that cigar box guitar, which is true, a lot of them don't really sound that good because they're the way they set them up. He apologized to me for that sound with that double neck, which I'll be bringing to Buffalo.
Okay.
It's like when they hear that sound, it's wow. I mean, everybody just stops to turn around, and all I'm doing is, I give people lessons. I'm just playing like basics, just slide. I'm just the way I do it, and I do like a little bit of an angle, more of a pedal, and so I've just got that old thing, and so That's it. It's a brand, and I don't fit into every place, every festival, but it doesn't matter. I'm working, constantly around. Just got another new festival in Italy. The guy, found me on YouTube and saw the videos and reached out to me, and
That's
because of
great.
that, it's a different sound. But there's anyway, it's no
I
big
love
deal.
when it happens like that because it's a mix in our business of unsolicited bookings and solicited bookings where, and what I mean by that is, at some point, when the newness or the novelty of you as an artist kind of wears off when and peaks in a market, let's say, you in that time period and before, a lot of people seek you out because you're fresh, you're new. But then once you're, established and you want to keep this thing going, you have to also knock on some doors and get some work for yourself. So when somebody comes along, at this stage in the game and says, "Hey, I found you on YouTube," and you're my man, you're the guy I'm looking for my festival or whatever the event is. That's those are are kind of special, and you appreciate them.
Well, the whole reason I'm coming up to Buffalo is that 2 years ago at the Clearwater Blues Festival, Gary Mancuso, right? That's the promoter,
Rick.
right? Rick's wife jumps on stage to grab the guitar. And she bought the guitar right out of my hands.
Okay, cool.
She got so excited because the sound of it's the whole thing with cigar box guitars and like I use thicker strings. That's all I'm doing. The kill and you get more of a gap. And when I get that thing going, sometimes it just affects people. It was interesting because that we sold so many guitars there because it was the Scientologists put it on in Clearwater. But you should talk to Ed about playing that festival. The people,
Uh,
something about Scientology, the brain, people just love the sound of the music that day, and it was like,
well, yes, and what I think you're touching on is something, for a broader conversation, but when you're talking about blues, you're talking about something primal, and when you're talking about, things resonating, it also, in my experience, kind of coincides with some of the spiritual traditions of Eastern,
exactly,
I mean, chakras, and blues is very, base and primitive. So, but then again, it's also music, so it's got vibration. So it's not just limited to base, chakras. I mean, there's a whole spectrum of emotions that it can hit you with. And even if it's not an emotional thing and you're just feeling something, you don't know what it is. That even kind of reminds me of what Colonel Tom Parker said about Elvis, where you're giving somebody an experience that they are that's unfamiliar to them, and that they haven't had before, and that they want to seek out and have over and over again. And that's something that you obviously know of and know how to tap into and bring to your performances.
what we should do? You and I should get on a Rick Beato show and do a whole and do because you're right. I mean, again, that's how I got the gig like that. And the same thing like here. I was just in Germany last day of the tour. The guys left me behind, and they want to get back home to their family. So I hung out in this town. I went to a Georgian restaurant, not the Georgia, America, but Georgia. And I walk in there, and there's the videos on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Um, there's a thing called a Pandoria three-string instrument, and it was just sitting there by some tables, and I play that, and I picked it up and I retuned it to a 151. They tune it to 154,
Okay,
and
cool.
but then the owner comes out and he sees me and he's like, "Who the hell is this American sitting here playing?" Because they're not used to. And then he retuned it and showed me how to play, and then next thing you know, I've got an offer now to go to Georgia for next year because
That's great.
and I was
They're one of the fall off states of the USSR, and
exactly
they're closer to like that side of Russia that's more Asian. So there's also that tradition of throat singing and the
exactly
drones and the harmonics that if you ever watched and listened to some of those people just in those meditations and just it's like blues. So there's something
Yeah.
very ancient and again primal and really human about blues music. You know what I mean? It's not just even though it's very significantly from the South of the United States. It's something that all cultures, it seems, old cultures, have in their traditions.
Right. So anyway, yeah. So getting back to where we're at, Columbia was great, and I think that I'm really happy. I still stayed in touch. I haven't heard from them in a while, but three of the students that built guitars were in touch. There was a Colombian Cigar. I have to look at that group. I haven't looked at it, and one guy ended up becoming a contractor, and the other kid made chairs and stuff. And then another kid went to make guitars. I don't know how they're doing, but kind of cool the way we went down there. And you were great too. Both you and what was our drummer? Peanut.
He has since changed his brand from he used to be David Teaspoon Hewlett. Now he's
He's
David Jonathan,
yeah,
and
and
he's got his own solo thing going on.
no, but he taught people. You taught people, so it was really good. So anyway,
Yeah, he's a great drummer. It's a real special guy. Yeah, for
and
sure.
then anybody can go ahead on my YouTube channel. I still have a lot of that stuff. It was a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah. So, also, like I said, part of your history, from Chicago, then you went and you lived in Cuba for some time, and then you moved back from Cuba to the States.
So there, let's go back. Okay, so I was born in Chicago, 57, December. March 23rd of 1958, I moved to Cuba for 4 years. Then came back to Miami after the Bay of Pigs. Then I went to back to Chicago after living in Miami until we relocated back in Chicago back in '63. Uh, when did Kennedy pass? 62? No, you got shot in 63.
You're
It was
testing
60
my history there.
because I was back in Chicago. We just got back to Chicago right when Kennedy was shot, right around there.
No, it's awful.
So and then my mother was a jazz singer, so I had a lot of jazz records around the house. And my dad really liked Ross on Roland Kirk, and he liked a lot of the bossa nova stuff,
Yeah,
Brazilian.
Roland Kirk was cool because he used two saxophones. I don't. People
Yeah,
should see that video of him playing with Buddy Guy, or
well,
on that same show, the Super Show.
that Super Show was cool, but what the best thing ever was, and unfortunately, I wish my dad was around to see all these videos got released from Bologna, '73. Ross on Roland Kirk in Bologna. I mean, Miles was doing his thing at that time, and Miles' band was good, but man, Roland Kirk was out of this world. But they didn't have videos, didn't have YouTube back then. If man,
Yeah.
because Ross and Roland Kirk only released, I think, about 9 albums, but all these videos are like, holy moly, what a band! You
Yeah,
know,
and it's kind of a mystery and a little sad at the same time because I brought this point up to Benny Turner when I had him on the show. You know, Freddie, he's
oh yes,
Freddie King's brother, Benny, and bass player, and he was talking about Chicago, and there was some musicians. He said there's some guitar players there that were just incredible, and one of them that he brought up was Earl Hooker. And I tried to coax out of him, who there's limited stuff of, limited video and recordings of, and same thing he talked about Magic Sam, so I wonder, along the way, who are some of these people that just we don't even know about that were never recorded that might have been just
yeah,
game
yeah.
changers.
I mean, you talk about Freddie King in Stockholm '74, where he's got that shirt with and Benny's playing
Yeah, it
bass.
looked like he could have hang glided right off the
I
stage.
know, man. I had a girl who was gonna make me that shirt once. I got to see she started working on it. But anyway,
I'm
no,
glad she didn't.
what's that?
I said, I'm just joking. I said, I'm glad she didn't. It wouldn't have
Oh,
lasted.
to have that. man. Freddie was that is such a badass, you
Oh
know,
yeah,
with
yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
anyway.
that's David Maxwell on piano,
Yeah,
Benny on bass, and Deacon Jones. And
Deacon
I
Jones.
forget who the drummer was, but the real skinny guy, killer
Yeah,
groove.
wasn't Rick Howard. That's another thing. But so let's talk a little bit about CJ. So
Oh yeah, one of the other performers here on Sunday at the Angola Blues Bash is going to be C.J. Sturlace. He's related to Gary Sturlace, who's also known as Speedy Parker from the Speedy Parker Band. So how did you guys connect?
well, what had happened was I'll be honest, and to be okay. CJ knows this story. I mean, I remember some people turning me on to CJ, and I saw CJ play really good guitar, but he was more like a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan stuff, which was good, but it was very TV type clone thing. And I thought, all right. And I never really got to meet him until um, there was a girl, I'm not going to mention her name. She was supposed to do a show with me and Biscuit Miller, and she couldn't make the show. And so uh, uh, I called CJ and I went to his place, picked him up in my Saturn, and we did 3 gigs together, up to this. And it was really cool because I got like all these bootleg Magic Sam stuff and Junior Wells, and he never really heard that a lot of the Magic Sam stuff. So it was a Magic Sam weekend. So we'll do a Magic Sam song together when we're up there. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
like
let's.
yeah, and next thing you know, drilling into I've got a lot of recordings, and we just hung out, and it was really great. We shared a hotel room together. And it reminded me like when I was a kid, when I was 18 and 19 and going on the road and sharing a room with Jimmy Rogers, and asking the questions,
Yeah, and you play bass with Bo Diddley too.
yeah, but I mean, yeah, but there's only one recording now. Oh no, actually, I got 2 recordings. I got to do the other one. I got a great recording. Big Walter, Jimmy Rogers, Mott on drums, and me on bass, playing the jazz. It's just man. But there's
Wow.
Barrel House Chuck was on, but it's all the excitement of he was so excited that just like young kid. And
Yeah.
then those videos, Biscuit Miller never heard of the guy. Biscuit was kind of worried. He was like, "Oh man, what are we gonna do, man? Because the girl was, and I'm like, don't worry, I'll have him ready for the show." And sure enough, Biscuit was see the videos of the. You should play that place, St. Augustine Cafe 11. Biscuit's like looking over, like, where the hell did you
Yeah,
get this?
maybe I could contact them for my tour in
Yeah, St.
October.
Augustine
But
Cafe.
so the moral of the story there, or the takeaway, I think, is necessity and opportunity, and these are really, from my perspective and my experience, are really two big, I guess, tenets of persevering in this business, and not giving up. You had somebody cancel on you short notice. You needed somebody, and you gave someone an opportunity, and look, it worked, and now you guys have been working together side by side for years now, and he's got a really solid mentor with him that obviously I'm sure he understands and appreciates.
Well, he's got a few mentors. He's got Al Fuller too, and at least he calls up. I when when it cools down, I work out and I walk, and then he starts playing. We're listening to a lot of who's done a great job. What's his name? He plays left hand. He was just on Rick Beato's show.
Eric Gales.
Eric Gales. I mean, Eric Gales is coming up with new, and every time I listen to like a riff that CJ, I'm like, dude, that's cool. Build on that riff and put that in your vocabulary. You have to have this as part of your arsenal and build that up. And yeah, he
That's great.
listens,
Yeah,
and
Eric's a
it's
friend of the show. He's been on the show twice now, and
badass.
we did a gig together. He is really just unbelievable.
I'm so proud of him, and he's straightened his act up, and I'm not going to get into his personal life, but he's I saw him at Atlanta airport, gave him a bunch of my songs, one of my cards, and he's like, hey man, and he's so nice, like not, and he's and the Rick Beato show was great for him. So
Yeah, it really was. Yeah.
and Kingfish, I mean, but getting back to Kingfish, all Kingfish is pretty much playing is a lot of Freddie King. I don't know, a lot of these new blues guitar players, they keep forgetting about the classic BB, Albert, and Freddie King riffs. What happened?
I'll tell you what happened. I think that for a long time, I mean, I think it's cyclical. I think let's say that the trends, I think they peak and get homogenized. So let's say that, the purity of what you're talking about, of those influences, carries on, and you got guitar players coming up, and then everybody is kind of doing that. And I think it homogenizes, and then someone comes along and is like a game changer. And I think what happened broadly in guitar playing was, one of the big game changers was Stevie Ray Vaughan. So, but then, after that, you got a bunch of Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of archetype players. And then along comes someone like Joe Bonamassa, who also has the Stevie influence and the blues influences. I mean, he played with B.B. King and opened for B.B. King, but he
Right.
also saw what was one of the game changers of our time back then, was Eric Johnson. So
Yeah.
so Eric Johnson's really, it was a novel approach, and he still is one of the game changers, of the generations, because not many people, I think, have really come along and impacted the direction of the way people play like he did. Prior to him, you had Eddie Van Halen, you had Stevie Ray Vaughan, you had Yngwie Malmsteen. And I mean, I'm just talking broadly in guitar playing, because guitar is such a big factor in our type of music and blues music. So that's my opinion or theory as to what had happened to the attention to Albert, BB, and Freddie, was the impact that someone like Eric Johnson had, because you can hear it in Eric Gales's playing, you can hear it obviously in Joe Bonamassa's playing, and both of those guys will credit Eric Johnson, but it is cyclical, and I think people are still out there and learning, that that type of thing that you
Yeah.
were talking about. You know.
There's a lot of good guys out there, and so I like to go through YouTube. I like Gabe Stillman. He's doing a good job. The guys
Hmm.
20, they're cranking. As far as Bonham, a lot of people don't. I love Bonamassa. I mean, he gets a lot of crap from people, whatever. But I don't know if it's jealousy or whatever. He's
It,
built his
it's 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 a lot of things, yeah, but there's no reason to sleep on Joe.
But yeah, so as far as CJ's doing good, and he works every day on his tone and trying to learn stuff. So he's one of the future. It's just getting back to it. It's good to I had a lot of guys take me under my wings. I started as a bass player, and a lot of those guys helped me and learn not only about music but about life and stuff. So
Hmm.
I'm really happy that people see CJ, and I get to see his uncle. His uncle came down here, and so that's good. We just got to keep the music going because I don't have that much longer to live. So realistically,
How old
it's
are you, Steve?
68. So
68. Oh, you still got a lot of good years in you, and
got
you
some
don't
good.
see any signs of slowing down. You're touring Europe,
No,
and
I just had Snookhaven just called me a little while ago to get me back in. I really just kind of wanted to pass on the whole. I've already have a lot of work. But I like Snook. I keep getting everybody. I've got a lot of work in Florida here, which is
we
fine.
love
But
it there. I love when you and I played there.
yeah, that was great. But the thing is that I've got to spend more time recording and leaving stuff behind. I got to get the book done. I got to get all my records, everything published, and everything left in a way. Because I don't know if you've been seeing all the new AI stuff, and you can like choose a robot. So you'll have when I go, there'll be like a robot walking around. This AI robot that's me,
Well,
and
legacy is important, and it's also important to have some currency with your original material and tell your story.
Exactly. Believe something, right? I
Yeah.
look at Dolly. I mean, everybody yesterday was she passed away. Everybody was talking about. It's really good to see somebody that when they pass away that people remember songs and stuff like that. I mean, I'm never going to be as big as hits as her, have other big attributes as she did, but it's a joke.
You'll
Uh,
never
uh,
have as big a what as she did.
big attributes. But anyway, let's get back to
Well, let's talk about the show. So it's
Loosey
running from
Goose.
1 to 6 there in Angola at the Grandview Bay Golf Course. I'll have the link in the description here on YouTube and any of the socials this gets up to. And
Yeah,
of
let's
course,
talk. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, I'm just going over through the schedule fast. People are going to be able to get tickets through the link, but like Speedy Parker's kicking things off at 1, and I believe Jeremy Keys' band has been added to this, so that's made it an even stronger bill. And then my band will be playing. I think Jeremy might be playing again. Maybe he's doing short intermediary sets between the acts that were originally hired. Of course, Dolly D is going to be singing with Speedy Parker, which you're really going to enjoy. She's really got a way about her and getting the crowd going. And then you're going to be up there, backed by Speedy Parker's band with CJ and yourself. And
Yeah.
so the whole thing goes from 1 to 6, and then at some point, I think there might be time for a jam, depending on how late things go.
Well, somehow we're going to fit Rebecca in because believe it or not, now so Rebecca Bird, the
Yeah.
songwriter, she's from Rochester, and she played in a popular band in the '90s called Planet Jam. Was it Planet Jam? Yeah, and so I can ask her again. So that was a pretty popular band in that area up there. That did a lot of more like classic rock stuff. But anyway, so she's got a bunch of people. We got the Rochester people coming down. I'm actually playing in Jordan, New York on Saturday.
Where are you playing on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm playing on Saturday in Jordan, just west of. It's about 30 miles west of Syracuse.
Okay.
And, I'm doing a whole cigar box guitar workshop. I'm doing a whole demonstration, and the New York State Cigar Box Guitar Club builders groups all coming. So I'm going to be showing them new ways of building, new tuners.
Great.
The biggest problem right now in the cigar box guitar world is tuners. Everybody keeps buying these crappy, cheap tuners, and everything is just nothing stays in. It's like, so there's a company out of Cleveland named Spurzl makes tuners. They're $18 a piece, but they're locked. You don't have no problem. Not like when you're and then slipping and
Yeah, being in tune is important. I mean, despite the fact that a lot of this stuff with slide guitar really started with like a diddly bow setup or somebody nailing a wire to the side of a shed or a house and making sounds and rhythms from it. So as primitive as its origins are, we have the technology nowadays to make it right.
Yeah. So So anyway, that's going to be a good workshop, and then so So I'll be bringing the cigar box guitars, and you don't have an extra Strat I can use up there, do you?
I probably do have an extra Strat I could bring for you. I know CJ was interested in a guitar neck that I had for sale on Reverb, but do you need a guitar amp, or you're all set?
No, I'll need a guitar amp too. I would suppose that they're having some backline at this.
I don't know that they're specifically reaching out to backline companies for it. I think it's all going to be just what we can get. I'm assuming that maybe Gary will have something for CJ.
If
But
not,
I
CJ knows.
have let's go ahead, Steve.
CJ knows my material. I don't even have to play guitar. CJ can he knows all my stuff anyway. But I mean, it'd be nice for me to play cigar box guitar. I'll figure something.
Yeah,
No,
I've got a 68 custom deluxe reverb that I could bring along.
Thank you.
Yeah. It looks like we're running out a little bit of time.
Uh,
So again, why don't you tell the people in Buffalo what they're going to be treated to here?
okay, so yeah, I'm gonna do some Magic Sam. I'm gonna do some cigar box guitar blues, like some boogie, um, funk, uh, some Delta funk. So I'm gonna mix it up. It's gonna be. They can go on my YouTube channel and see a lot of the different stuff I do. And
Sounds good.
all right,
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank Mr. Steve Arvey here, the legend, the blues elder statesman from Florida. He's going to be in Buffalo at Angola on Saturday or Sunday at Grandview Bay Golf Course. So we'll see you all there. Thanks.
peace through music.